In this video, we're going to talk about actually creating a custom report within PlanSwift. Now you can see I'm on my estimating tab with my project open, and you can see I have a variety of different types listed in here. And again, this report's going to be geared towards reporting against the types, which is the way I prefer to do it. You can certainly create reports to report against a different property or different field. Here I have several things represented. I have equipment, I have material, I have labor, I have some subcontract items. If we go to the reports right now, I have our basic reports in PlanSwift. I also have some that I have created for myself, and I have one that I just simply called master format. And that's kind of the one I build all of my reports off of. I've built into this format the color scheme that I like to use, the fonts, the font sizes, all of that information is already taken care of, so it's been customized to that point. What I can do here is start filtering based on what I want to see. So if I just list it out in plain view here, my base filter is based on my types. So let me open up that custom filter. What this is saying is that where I have the item type and any of these types are in this group is what essentially is what it's saying. So I have my type selected. I am in part, material, equipment, other, subcontractor, labor. If I was looking for just one type of an item, what I would do is, let me remove that. I'll add a new condition. I'll select what I'm going to look for in that condition. So in my case, I'm going to use type. And something else to keep in mind as you're looking, you look at that list, and in the earlier video you heard me say that you can report against all of your properties, and that is true. What this list represents are the columns that were defined for this report. So I'm just going to take a step back here. Let me cancel this. If I go under my columns, and this is again specific to only this report, these are the columns that I have in this report. I could add additional columns here and have those options available to me under the custom filter. So let me open up our filter one more time, and you'll see I've got my type selected, and maybe I just want to look for a certain material. So I'm going to change from it being in a group to equaling a specific item type. So I'll just say where my type is equal to other. Okay, and when I apply that filter, you'll see it now narrowed down the options to only displaying what is in that other type. If I change that to labor, again, apply it, that's what's going to be available. Now there are some other functions that are kind of nice. Maybe if I were looking for, let me take this back out. Maybe I were looking for a certain name, or just trying to filter out. Maybe I didn't have things quite laid out the way I had hoped. If I was looking for a certain object, I could certainly do that by using something like the name field. Maybe I wanted to pull up anything that had the number 16 in it. I could add that condition, go to name. I could say where the name is like and type in the number 16, and let me see if that gives me a result. That doesn't give me a result. So let me go back and modify 16 to be a percent 16%. Now that percent character is actually the wildcard for doing the sort. So it's saying anything before the number 16 and anything after the number 16. So now if I click apply, I should see all the items have the number 16 listed. Now I'm back out to my entire list, and when you're not doing any filtering at all, you'll see that you're seeing the entire list of objects that make up that job. And this is every individual segment, every individual section of an area. So it's actually breaking down the entire project and displaying all of the objects. If I wanted to filter it down and not include some of these things, again, I'll go to my filter, and I should have is item. I'll leave that equals true. Is item meaning it is a takeoff item, and apply that. And now you'll see that anything that is an item, which is the parent object, individual digitizers, or the parts and material themselves. So that's displaying just everything in a more concise view. So let me go back to my original filter where my type is in a certain group of criteria. So if I put in material, add a new item, labor, equipment, other, and subcontract. I'll apply that, and now I'm just seeing those items without the actual takeoff measurement. These are just my quantitative takeoff items. Now let's start talking about grouping. The way the groups work is pretty simple. Whatever visible columns are shown, I can just left click on one of the column headings and drag it into the gray bar just above the reports. And you'll see now I'm grouping by the type. And the groups are labor, material, other, and subcontract. If I expand those, you'll see the respective items grouped underneath. You don't have to have the icons on, by the way. I like to keep them on because it gives me a great visual reference as to what the item type is. So now I have my description, my name, and you'll see that in some of these items there'll be the same name twice. It's actually being taken off twice. Well, here we go, framing labor is in there twice. So maybe I want to keep all my framing labor together. So if I group again by the name, it's going to first sort by the type, which is labor, and then it's going to sort by the name. So framing labor, if I expand that column, now you'll see I have my framing labor is totaled together, and it's giving me a total of the two in the grouping. Now I could also turn on the group footer by right clicking and turning on the group footer, and you'll see it gives me a subtotal at the bottom of each group. You can just drag that grouping back into the list. If you don't want to see the column, you can remove the column, or you can just drag it to where you see the black X and let go of the mouse and it will remove that item. If you click this little box in the left, you can see I have the ability just to turn on what other columns that I want to see. Whatever had been turned on or is actually listed under the columns that you've selected as being visible. So you can turn those on and off. If you need to best fit all of your column widths, right click, you can say best fit all columns, and it will automatically resize all the columns to the best fit. So once you've played around with it a little bit and given yourself a master format that you want to build from, and you want to create a new report, simply select your master copy or any of the sample reports. If you want to base something off of one of those, click the add report button. This will allow you to save that view as a new report. So I could just come in here and give it a new name. I'll just call it test report. And you'll see that should add it right here. Then I have my master format as well as a copy, which is my test report. And the name of that report, it should be listed just above the reports. From that point, any changes I make to this report will only apply to that test report. Now if you want to come in and start making some changes to the color layouts, you'll just go into the report settings. And again, this is specific to each report. So if I go under styles, you'll see I've got the selection color, which is when I click on a cell, it's highlighted in that color and sets the font to a 12-point Arial bold font. If I wanted to change that, I'd simply select the color, change it to some other color. Maybe I'll do a bright green and click OK, and you'll see that's now changed. So now when I select a field, it's in a bright green color. You have your content even rows and content odd rows. That's how I set my every other row color. The filter bar color, this is the filter bar at the bottom. Then we have the header color, which are your column headings, and the group color, so that when you group by a certain heading, the group color comes into play. And then I have my footer, which is at the bottom. Now, title properties and footnote properties. You can actually type in some text or whatever you want to put for your title on your report. Maybe you want to add a couple paragraphs to the top of your report, maybe only on the first page. If I set that and click OK, go to my print preview, you'll see now it added whatever text I typed in that box will add to this to the top of my report. Something that you can do as well, if I go to my settings, hit my title properties, maybe I wanted to do something like this, job name. I could actually put the property for /job/name, and that should pull the name of my current job at the top of the report. So if I click OK, go to my print preview, and you'll see here's my job name as my 07/05/2010. But you can put your job name, essentially you could pull any property that exists on the job itself. So you could have the job name, job description, things of that nature. If you have a custom system and you have other fields in there, you can report against those fields as well. Or if you wanted to include the name of the report, which I can get there by going to title, if I wanted the name of the report in here, I could simply just do a open bracket name, and it should yield the report name. There's my test report. Now under my page setup is where I have my options for header and footer settings. So I could have my date printed. Maybe I wanted to have some information in the middle of that bottom footer of the page, page numbers. I could add a company logo. If I had something I wanted to put at the top, I could go under my fill effects. I could put a picture to the background for a fill, or if I go to select a picture, I could certainly find something. that I could put in the background of a field. So you certainly have that option as well. You can adjust your margins to fit. So if you had a company logo, it would be a matter of putting it in one of the cells and adjusting your margins on the reports. Now you could also, on your headers, once you added your image, you could put your company name and address. In one of the other remaining fields. So if we print preview this, you can see you could add your company name, address, contact information. Again, you have full control of what fonts you set, what the font sizes are. And if I look at the bottom, we've included the date, a report footer, and then how many pages of whatever is being printed. Now something else you'll notice on this report is I have the little plus and minus icons from the grouping. We can turn those off. Again, that's under the report settings, and these options here are what are going to show when you print that report. So if I say I don't want to see the expand buttons, it will take those off. I go back to print preview. Now you'll see those have been turned off. So the other thing that we can take a look at, you'll notice on some of these reports I did a cost versus sell report. And if we expand some of these, you'll see I have the price total, I have the cost total, and then I have a profit difference. And the way I attained the profit was under the columns tab. If we go to columns, you'll see there's that formula column that I mentioned earlier. In that formula, you can actually just take any properties and build a formula from that. So while I have a profit column, I don't have a profit property in any of my items. So therefore, I just created a column, took my price total, which is a property, and subtracted my cost total, which is again is another property, to give me the result that I wanted to see in the report. So what that did was then give me the ability to give me the total sell price for my project, and then I have a cost on that project, and then I can see my gross profit. So hopefully this gives you a fair understanding of how the reports work, and certainly it should show you why it's so important to know what you want to get out of the system before you spend a lot of time up front building all your parts and assemblies, only to find out that, hey, I want to report in this manner but can't do it because I don't have the necessary properties to do it. So this should give you a pretty good understanding of how to go about doing that.